Great morning, holy brothers and sisters, on this fantastic Friday of March 23rd. It is the 7th of Nisan. We are in the Kitzur Likutei Moharan, and today's lesson will be called Sleepy Sight. The granting of children to barren women is achieved by awakening people from their sleep. To explain, these are people who sleep away their days, although it appears to those around them that these people are serving God and engaging in Torah study and prayer. Nevertheless, they are actually asleep, so to speak. For all such people, spiritual service remains down below, since it is without vitality or intellect. God has no pleasure from service like this, and such devotions are unable to raise themselves and ascend on high. Lots of times you see people learning, and they might be into their mitzvahs and serving so fantastically, but they're doing so mechanically, and they're not connected to the Creator. We have to put a real heart into it, and not just understand what we're doing, but put our love and our connectedness to God, which we want to achieve through our actions with that type of feeling and emotion. Some people have fallen asleep through their physical cravings and evil deeds. Others are actually devout and admirable individuals, except for the fact they have fallen asleep as a result of eating. For sometimes when a person eats food that has not been refined for human consumption, he thereby loses his face, that is, his wisdom and his intellect. As in the verse, a person's wisdom illuminates his face, from Koheles 8:1. And he falls into the aspect of sleep. Such a person must be awakened from his sleep, but it is impossible for anyone to arouse him unless he first stirs on his own, since there must be some arousal from below. It is just that when a person is sleeping, does rouse himself on his own. If there was nobody else attempting to rouse him, he would simply go on sleeping. Thus, as soon as he stirs, it is necessary to show him his face and to dress up the face for him in the telling of stories. Now, there are 70 faces to the Torah corresponding to the 70 years, and it is necessary to dress up and disguise these faces. The reason for this is that just as when somebody is healing a blind person, it is necessary to closet the patient in a dark room and to diminish the light for him so that it will not harm him when he suddenly sees the bright light. Similarly, when a person who has been asleep in the dark for a very long time and we want to show him his face and to arouse him from his sleep, we must dress up this face in the telling of stories so that suddenly seeing the light does not harm him. There are several possible variations to this manner of dressing up the face. First, there's a person whom it is impossible to rouse through his own face, and it is necessary to show him and to dress him up a face that is higher than his level of his own face, which left him during the time when he was asleep. Second, there's a person who has fallen far, far, far from the 70 faces of the Torah. Such a fall is very indeed great. May God save us to the point that there is no face that can rouse him with any of the 70 faces of the Torah, which correspond to the 70 years. Rather, such a person can be roused only by telling stories from the ancient times, from which all the 70 faces of the Torah received their vitality. Through these stories, it is possible to rouse from sleep even a person who has fallen far from all the 70 faces of the Torah. May God save us. Fortunate is he who merits to come to a tzaddik like this, who can awaken him from his sleep with awesome spiritual rectifications like these, so that he does not waste his life in sleep, God forbid. This awakening from sleep, in turn, brings about the granting of children to barren women. For previously, when these people were asleep, they were deaf in that they did not hear the exhortation and urging of the sage, and consequently they were unable to speak a single word before God either, since the term deaf, unless modified, refers to one who neither hears nor speaks. Turmot 1:2. But now, when the sage awakens a person, and he hears the sage's words, he can then speak holy words before God. And because the speech of such people was repressed in them for so long, because they were deaf and mute, therefore now, when their speech comes out, it emerges with great strength, as in strong warriors, makers of his word. Psalms 103:20. This strength then reaches the reproductive organs, as expressed in the verse, my strength and the first fruit of my vigor, Genesis 49:3. A person must be certain, however, that the organs of speech are aligned and close to the reproductive organs, namely the kidneys, so that the kidneys will be able to receive the strength of his speech. When this does occur, then his speech comes out with truth and sincerity, and not in the way described by the verse, you are close to the mouths but distant from the innermost parts, literally the kidneys, Jeremiah 12:2. And then, as a result of this, the granting of children to barren women is achieved. Thus, through the true tzaddik who awakens people from their sleep by telling stories of ancient times, the granting of children to barren women is achieved. In turn, great fear and awe of God is evoked, and a person merits all of the spiritual rectifications enumerated above. Thank you so much for learning together, and may all women merit to have healthy, beautiful, wonderful children who are God-fearing and connected, to all help us bring about the ultimate redemption speedily in our days. It's been a pleasure learning with you, and if you like this lesson, please remember to like, comment, to share and borrow, and please God, we will learn again tomorrow night, because it will be after Shabbos, God willing.